You start out, it's only like 6 miles, and you want to run a 50K, and that's 6 miles is hard for you. I believe if you can do that, though, you can run a 50K. You're not just building endurance. You're building your confidence. You're growing. It's just awesome stuff. You are listening to the Run the Rack Outdoors podcast, where we take an all-in, leave no doubt approach to all things adventure hunting. From the big woods to the high country. How about that? Let's learn together as we discuss with our expert guests on what it takes to be successful in the backcountry. I'm your host, Weston Homa. Let's get into it. Go Hunt has a single purpose: make it easier for hunters to get into the field. Hunting tags are only getting harder to obtain, and Go Hunt is a research platform helping navigate the ins and outs of drawing tags and researching hunts across the West. I've had a Go Hunt membership for years now, and I'm a big fan of the articles written on there by Brady and Trail. The content is next level stuff that has helped me a ton. From animal behavior to archery, they are sharing all the nuggets. I also love the hunt films on YouTube. They are extremely inspirational, and they'll make you want to get out in the mountains ASAP. Check out the Go Hunt Gear Shop, where they have everything you need for this coming hunting season. Use the code RACK, that's R-A-C-K, for 10% off eligible items in the shop. And you can use the code RACK for $50 in-shop credit when you join as an insider. So sign up for a membership and immediately get $50 back toward hunting gear. Check it out. You won't regret it. All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Run the Rack Outdoors podcast. Going to jump right into it this week. So I want to recap the 50K that I just ran this past weekend and also dive into just some tips on how to train for your first ultramarathon, if that's something you're looking to get into, and just share what I know and what's worked for me. But I'll give you a little bit of background kind of on my running to this point. If I'm getting new listeners every week, show's growing, it's really awesome. So if you're new here, give a little bit of background of what I've done with my running journey so far. And yeah, I want to recap this race too. So I'm going to get right into it. It was an awesome time. If you follow me on Instagram and stuff, I did post about it. So the goal for this year I had for this race was to podium. So that means top 3, and I got it. So I got 3rd place. It was the Wilson Creek Frozen 50K, right outside of Boise here, about an hour away in the Oahe Mountains. So it's the high desert. And by no means was this a flat 50K. So we go up. Oh, man, that first peak was probably about a 3,000-foot climb, like right out of the gate. So yeah, that definitely felt good, but I'll get more into it. But yeah, I got 3rd place. What was my time? Around 4 hours, 30-some minutes. Ended up being like an 8-minute, 44-second pace with over 6,500 feet of vert. So a ton of climbing. Still was in the 8-minute mile range. So that means my flats were probably around sub 7-minute mile. And then my downhills, when I was looking, I was usually around low 6-minute. I think I even touched short little bursts, sub 6-minute miles on the downhill. So really trying to move. This race, it's a good size. There's, I think, 80-some people at the start running the 50K. And then there's a big group of people running just like this 20-mile loop and this 10-mile loop there too. So a lot of people, great community. And I knew too, I was like, okay, so this is my first race out here. And these trail runs, like these ultras, these marathons, it's like what I love to do too. Help me train for getting ready for hunting season, getting ready for the mountains. And this was my first one out here since I moved out here to Boise. So I was like looking at the times for the last couple of years, and I was just looking for like a race at this time of year too. I got Boston in April, but I was like 3 months, I could throw in like a 50K here in January. So that's what I did. Found a local one. And yeah, it was a good crowd. And Boise has some strong runners. This is like, okay, I'm moving from the east to the west. Like, competition's going to maybe be a little bit better. But yeah, I was looking at the times the last few years, and I was like, I think if I run my race and have a good day, I can make something happen. I think there was a pro, though, last year, and he got the course record. So I was like, all right, one of my goals for 2026, and I've like put out these before, like with Boston and Eugene and the 100-miler and the hunts, all that I want to do. Part of all those goals was to podium finish. So I was like, all right, podium, a big local race, and that's what it was. So anyway, that's what I did. Those top 2 guys were definitely strong runners, give them all the credit, but it was good. It was like us 3 right at the beginning when we took off. So we start there Saturday morning. Pretty cold. It was 17 degrees at the start, they said, and they couldn't get the dang clock, like timer, to work. So we're standing there, we're freezing, and we were delayed by like 12 minutes to start, and we were like just wanted to start running, but it was all good. And they said go, and that's pretty much what it was. There was a couple guys that hung with us, but I kind of you kind of look around and you're like, okay, I think these couple guys here look like they know what they're doing. So, and I just try to look like I know what I'm doing, I guess. But it was pretty much us three the whole time. Second place got me by about 5 minutes. I saw him most of the race. He'd be like cresting over a ridge right as I was making the climb. And then first place got me by like 12 minutes. So it was like kind of us three up there the whole time. And that's kind of how it shook out. And there was nobody really. I think fourth place, the next person behind me was like an hour back. So it was good. Like I felt like, I was trying to catch those guys. It ended up being, good group, good day. That was the race. It was an awesome time. Really cool country out here. Like all this stuff to me, like the mountains, the desert, the high desert is still like new and exciting. And I think that's important too when you're looking for a race, and I'll get into that more as well. Like it's cool to go somewhere that like excites you. It was definitely a cool area. So I definitely recommend it, checking out the Hawaii Mountains down there. More to it though. I felt really good going into the race. I tried to work up to, and this is just me personally, so I like to do a lot of hunting in the fall. I run like throughout the week, but the weekends, I'm gone. I take all my PTO, to hunt, especially in September and stuff. But once November rolled around, that kind of all wrapped up, and then through December, I was building back every week. So a good rule of thumb is like 10%. You don't really want to add more than 10% if you're building back into running, or maybe even if you're just starting out. So say your weekly mileage, you're running 10 miles a week. Next week, I guess that'd only be like, 11. But just kind of adding that on, I kind of did that. I think I jumped back into like 40 miles a week, and then 44 to 50, 55. 60. And then I think I worked up, I got all the way up to 80, 81 miles in a week, and then tapered off for this race a little bit. Had something going on with my groin. I don't know what was going on, but spent some time stretching it out, tapered real good, and felt really good going into the race. So just more to it though. So yeah, big climb right out of the start. And luckily I did spend some time on this course, and I think that's a great tip too, especially if you're like, you want to get into ultras, maybe you've ran a few races and then like you're really trying to go out there and try to compete, try to really run hard. I think it's really important too if you can. And maybe if you're not competing, you just want to get out there if you can, get time on feet on the course so you know what to expect. So this was a great example of that. Huge climb right out of the gate, but I knew it was coming. So like I said, about 3,000 feet, the first few miles, making this big climb. And that's what's so tough too, because you do this huge climb, and then you start coming down, and you're like, oh, I got 25 more miles, and like that climb like smoked me. But if you kind of know what you're getting into, you can pace yourself a little bit, you know what's coming, and then it's not quite as bad. I want to share that too. Like, hey, I don't really get when people are like, well, maybe you've run further than that, or it's just a 5K, or it's just a whatever. To me, every race I'm doing, I'm running hard, and I try to redline. So it doesn't matter if it's a 10K. I've ran 10K. I ran 10K one time, and I was like, that was the hardest thing. That was like one of the hardest races I've done, because to me, I'm always just redlining. So a 10K or a marathon or a 50K doesn't matter. So yeah, this was another tough one, no doubt. So make that big climb, coming down with these long windy downhills, and I was just flying. It was so fun. That's really like my advice too. If you can just like take in those moments with running, that got some good music playing, just absolutely cruising. I think I was doing like 6.5 minute miles on these windy downhills, and that was awesome. Really cool country in the desert. The snow was like glistening all over. There was just a layer of snow all over the brush, and saw some mule deer. That was cool. And saw some wild horses. So I got some videos I'm going to share more about it too. And I'm going to put like one bigger vlog video on my YouTube. I'll put that together. But anyway, we're going, and I'm just like trying to chase second place best I can, doing some more climbing. And that's the thing too, like you're convinced like, oh, that was the big climb. But then all the other little climbs after that, your mind just plays tricks on you. Like, I thought we were done climbing. So it just makes it tough. But then as we're going, like, I say like feeling good, but I have hard times too. Like, these races are not easy. I remember I got to mile 26, 27, 28, and it was just this long uphill. And I just remember thinking like, come on. Like, you feel like, it's a marathon, you're already done, and just a few more miles left. You think you're like done, but like you're not. And that's just like another thing I take with life, like too. Like, even though maybe you've done a lot of work and it's great to look back and like see how far you've come, you're not done till you're done. Like, you're not there yet, and that's okay. That's something I tell myself in these races too. That's my mantra. Like, I've done longer ultras, and a mantra I have is, you're just not there yet, and that's okay. Just keep going. And that's a mantra I use for everything. I use that for fixing my house up before I moved a couple years ago, months of like a remodel. I use it for a lot of things. I think that's a good mental mantra. So but I just remember being like so frustrated. So, and then there's flagging always like on the trails for these races. And I felt like I went a good like half mile and I didn't see any green flagging. And I'm like, am I off the trail? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm dog tired. I skipped the last couple aid stations because I was just fighting. I was trying to get to second place, and I'm just like dogging it. But it's just another one of those things. That's why I like doing these big endurance events and stuff too. It's all about stress management, that mental strength, just one foot in front of the other. And then even then, like some of those big climbs, like I'll just go down to a power hike if I have to because you're just absolutely smoked. And that's what I was doing. Eventually saw the flagging, was on the right track, started to calm down a little bit, crested over this ridge, and I'm like, okay, I see now we're going to flatten out and go down this big, windy downhill and just cut loose the last 4 miles, probably doing like 7-minute miles. But right at the end, the last 2 miles, there's these like shin-deep creek crossings. There was like 6 of them. So again, it's cold, like almost done with this ultra. That's the thing, like when you're done, like you're done. Like I got to mile 29, 30, and I'm like, I'm just going to floor it. And then you're just done. So then I get these creek crossings right at the end, and I'm just like, oh, that was just a good like kick in the face right towards the end. But I'm just trucking through like the water, and then now you're just running with wet feet, and like ankles got all caught up and everything, but finished. And I had some really great friends there at the end that came down just to support. That was so awesome to see. Just love the community here in Boise. Like, just such good people. So grateful for the new friends I made here, but just such an awesome day. Talked to the guy that got in second place, just a stud. Really super cool guy. And then the guy that got in first, I can't help it. Like, I look at the Ultra. So there's this website called Ultra Sign Up, and that's where you can go register for a lot of these races. But you can also search anybody. You can search anybody's name. You can search David Goggins' name. All his races and results are on there. So it's all public. So mine are on there too, if you want to go look. But I looked at the guy that got in first, and, it's all good. I know there's just levels to this. Like, obviously I want to go out there and compete, and I want to win every race I do, but just had a lot more experience than I did. All good. That dude was like placing in bigger 100Ks and all this stuff, and just had more time on feet, and I'm okay with that. That's how I've looked at running and a lot of these other things I just try to, like to improve upon in my life. There's levels to everything. So as long as you're keep improving, keep showing up, you'll get there. But not disappointed at all. I'm always striving to do more and become more and get better. But podium finish at a big local 50K in a big trail running community like Boise, threw down and couldn't complain at all. So really, really happy. And that was pretty much it. So that was the 50K to start the year. Got a few more races lined up this year, but it felt really good to race again. And like I said, these are what I love to do. I love these big endurance challenges. I feel like they help me in the mountains. I'll get all that. I'll get more into that here, but I just feel like, being a mountain athlete, being comfortable on my feet, just stacking miles and miles every week, these big long runs. Races are fun too because it's like a test. It's like, okay, been doing all this work. Like, let's see where you stack up. Like, let's see how you hold up, how your body holds up. So I like them. I recommend. So I've been talking to more and more people, getting some DMs here and there online just about like, hey, I want to run my first 10K. I want to run my first ultra. Just can I pick your brain? Absolutely. I just love helping people do that, whether you're just doing it for yourself to build your cardio, just to live your healthier life, or you truly want to get in better shape for hunting. I think it's all great stuff, and I think it really does help. At least it helps me. So I just want to share too. Okay, so that was a quick recap of the race. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to hit on in about 15 minutes here. And yeah, body's feeling good. So like I said, I'm a couple days out and did some sauna, some cold plunge, and doing some walking, and actually was able to do some easy miles on the track tonight. So it's Monday, 2 days out, and just feel like muscle soreness, like not any joint pain or anything like that. So all good. Glad to see, too, how the body can recover. And I've learned that, too. The more you run, the more you do this, the quicker your body is going to recover. Your body is just always going to adapt to the loads you put on it. So I think that's important to train all year round. You're going to recover quicker. If you're just telling your body this is what we do, it's going to handle it better. That's really what I found. So I want to get into, if you're interested, training for an ultra, I think these things are great. The people you meet at these races, the community, everybody's just, I have a chip on there, like on my shoulder when I get there at the start line. Like, I want to win, I want to compete. But like when you finish, and at the end of the day too, even at the start, like honestly, it's just so awesome seeing everybody there. Everybody that just even toes the line just to take the courageous step of like, hey, I'm going to go run this 50K. Probably most people too get like comments from people they work with or their family, like, why would you go and do all that? So it's like, I've been there, and I know a lot of those people at the start line have heard those things and said, I don't care, I'm doing it anyway. And they did a ton of training by themselves, and they probably did a lot of runs at 5 a.m. before work in the cold, and they ran in the rain. And that's the people that finished first to the people that finished in last. So I just have mad respect for all the people that took the courageous step to sign up, do the training, all that stuff. So anyway, it's all so supportive. It's all so great, just great vibes, and I love these races. So much so, I even would volunteer aid stations back when I lived in Pennsylvania. And definitely want to do more of that here, just because, like I said, love the community. So I'm all for, if you're listening to this because you want to learn a little bit more about where to start, I think I'm going to get into that here, share what I know, and quick resume of mine. Again, you can go to my Ultra sign up, search my name, see what I've done. So I guess this was okay, let me back up. I have no experience running as far as growing up. This is not what I did. I did not run track. I did not run cross country. Played high school, baseball, soccer. In college, just lifted a lot of weights, drank a lot of beer. I was probably about 20 pounds heavier than I am now. And then a couple years after college, still was doing all that crap. But then really, I'd say right before COVID is when I picked up running. It's kind of like when I started hunting the West, because I knew, all right, I got to just get in better shape. And I didn't really know I'd make it to Boston one day. I saw people doing that kind of stuff and dreamed about it. But my focus was just to constantly improve and get better and just try to keep leveling up. So that's my advice too. And then all these extrinsic things will come. So since then, consistently started running, I guess I'll say 2020. First races, and I couldn't do any races because of COVID, but 2022 was the first marathon I did. And then I ran a 25K trail race, which technically isn't an ultra. That was about 16 miles. I got third there. And then next year, another marathon, and that was my first ultra. It was a 36-mile, more so endurance festival, they call it. A lot of people go hike it. There's hundreds of people, but a lot of people run it. And I actually got first place in that. So the first ultra I ever did, I got first place. It was a local race. And then since then, I don't know. I won a local marathon, a local 10K. I think I've done 5 marathons, and this was my 5th ultra. So I think this was my 3rd one in the 50 to 60K distance range. I did a 70-miler race summer of 24, and then that 100-miler where my knee just totally blew up and took the DNF. I hate to say it, but I had to. Kind of got x-rays, got MRI, thought I was going to have surgery. Long story, but I do have that on my YouTube if people want to go watch it. Anyway, that was the only really bad one. The other races I've done, those other races, so let me think. First place in that 36 miler, I got a top 10 finish in a 55K in North Carolina. I got this third place here in this 50K. I snuck in the top 20 in that 70 miler race. That's the Laurel Highlands Ultra. Very popular race. Brings in people all from up and down the East Coast. I think a few hundred people go to that race because it's a Western States qualifier. So a lot of people from the East. There's only so many of those in the East. Also, so Western States qualifier, which is Western States 100. It's the oldest ultra, most popular one. You need a qualifier under your belt to get a token, and then you can get in the lottery. And you can only get one per year, I believe, yeah. So a lot of people on the East Coast go and do that one because all the qualifying races for Western States are at a minimum at 100K. And there's only so many, too. It's not all 100Ks. So there's a list on like Western States, whatever.com. Here's all the qualifying races. So there's 100 milers to 100Ks. So there's only so many in the East as well because running in the West is just more popular. And then also this was 70 miles. It's not like you had to run 100 miles to get your token. So anyway, point is, brings in a very good crowd on the East Coast. And I ran that. I got in the top 20. So I got 19th there. I ran 70 miles in 15 hours, 16 minutes. It's that wooden big trophy back there. And yeah, I didn't even run my best race, to be honest. I finished really hard, but I probably could have got closer into the top 10 if I didn't have GI distress, meaning just stomach hurt real bad. It was hard to eat anything. I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. Probably should have stuck with gels and tailwind and stuff like that, but that was the furthest distance I had ran. I skipped 50 miler. I skipped 100K. I went right to the 70 miler. So I'm never going to like dismiss people for pushing themselves and dreaming big because that's all I've ever done. But just understand, yeah, these things are tough. But anyway, yeah, I was closer to the top 10 most of the race, but I just couldn't get any more calories in from real food at least. Just sipping on tailwind for the last, 30 miles, 40 miles maybe, because I remember at mile 30, I wasn't throwing up and anything like that. It was just like, just everything I looked at just made me want to like, was just shaking my head. Didn't want to get it down. And that's something you learn too with these bigger races. So that's why gels and tailwind and these carb mixes or just fluids are so popular. Because when you're running for that long, all your energy, all your blood, all your resources are going to your legs and your muscles. So it's taking away from your digestive muscles, and it's harder for you to like eat a cheeseburger. I mean, some people can. Some people have like an iron gut, they call it, and they'll just eat anything and just go. More often than not, though, people aren't really built like that naturally. I found that I'm not. I thought I was. And I think for a 50K, especially if you're starting out and you're pretty much going slow, honestly hiking a good bit of it, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your goal, freaking go for it. But you probably get away with a lot eating like whatever. I'm at the point now, though, where I'm really running, and I guess I always had been, even since my first one, but running these hard the whole time, I can't eat a cheeseburger. But what I am doing is I'm trying to get more carbs in per hour on long training runs. Actually purposely give myself a little bit of GI discomfort just to kind of like help build that. And anyway, that's neither here nor there, but that's something you learn along the way as well. Anyway, so that's a little bit about my background as far as ultra running and everything. And the marathons, yeah, I started in like the 3:30 range, 3 hours, 30 minutes, my first one, and slowly worked my way down. Lower 3s, sub 3, and then that 2:48 last year, and now I'm running Boston this year. So I've also helped put half marathon plans together for some friends, and in marathon plans, I hadn't charged anything. They seemed to work well for them. They got the results they were looking for, and that's also another thing I want to do with this platform. I want to help people that reach out. I'm always answering questions all the time via DMs with like running and stuff, but if you want training plans and really like systemic progressive plans, if you're looking for your first half marathon, whatever, I am more than willing to help because I just love seeing people get after it and achieve their goals. And these big races and all these things done a lot for me. I love them, make me feel good. So if I can give that energy back out to people, give them a little bit belief in themselves and overcome these challenges, go out, sign up and do it and overcome. I just love to see it. So anyway, that's my background with running. Like I said, I've helped a lot of people. And then honestly, myself personally, obviously tons of podcasts, tons of YouTube. And then I got some books behind me back there. I reference a lot Jason Koop, he's a very popular coach, and he's a pretty good ultra runner too, if I'm not mistaken. But he's in that world. He wrote like a 450-some page book called Guidelines to Ultra Running. I've read that through, and then I'm constantly going back and reading back through it, just sections here and there, because it's just almost like a textbook for me. So I pull a lot from there, and then again, this is me just sharing what I know, sharing things that work for me that haven't worked, learning from failures, and things like that. So, all right, here we go. Almost half hour in. I want to give some practical advice that the listener can take if they're interested in, like, hey, I see all these people online running races, running, marathons, half marathons, but these ultras, like, look, that looks cool. A 50K, an ultra marathon. How do you even go about doing that? So here's a bunch of bullets that I wrote down. First thing I'll say, what are your goals? Do you want to run the whole thing pretty hard? Do you want to just hike the thing and get that trophy? There's no rules to this. You can do whatever you want, whatever your goal is. If you just want to finish, that's great. Honestly, that's probably what most people do. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, I just want to finish. So it's a great place to start. Nothing wrong with that. What's important, though, too, and I wrote this down, is when you do race it, run your race. And I want to unpack this a little bit, because a lot of people hear that and they think, don't get caught up in like people passing you and all these things. And really, that is how I should start this. That's where a lot of the times people do mess up in these long races, and they see people passing them. And I don't know, I get it, especially guys. Like, we're all guys. Like, we got that competitive drive, and if there's people passing you, and it's a little bit of like an ego check. You want to pick up the pace and all these things. But if you're just starting out, it's your first race, you got to just run your race. And people, a lot of times, they call it blow up because they go out too hard. Very common mistake in a long ultra. When you go out too hard, you're just really straining your body. And you might not feel too bad for a while, but when you get about 20 miles in, you're just asking a lot from your body. And that's when these flare-ups can happen. And maybe you have a weak right ankle, and then that flares up your left knee. That's what happens a lot of time. You get crazy bad inflammation, crazy bad pain, and that's where a lot of people end up DNFing, stuff like that. So you can prevent that, obviously, in a number of ways, just training more, strength training, things like that. But don't go out too hard. Run your race, and never forget that through the race. Also, too, if you feel good and there's somebody like ahead of you, pass them. I was thinking about that too. Like, there was, right at the start for the first few miles, there was a guy that I knew I was probably going to pass, and I've done this in previous races too, you can kind of get comfortable seeing somebody right out in front of you, and you're like, okay, well, if they're only moving that fast, like, I'm only going to move this fast. Hey, if you feel good, pass them. Run your race. So that's something that I tell myself too. Always just run your race. Either pick up the pace or slow down. Most of the time, especially starting out, it means slow down. So I don't know. I was just thinking about that recently. I had that wrote down too. But more so, okay, to start, though, if you really need to start from like level 0 and get into it, biggest piece of advice I have is like, okay, the 50K, the medal, the finish, getting a picture to post on Instagram, all this stuff, that's really cool. That's extrinsic motivation, though. Really need to be intrinsically motivated, and running should just start to become part of your lifestyle. It's really hard to give advice on this because I know everybody's different, but it has to be something where you find a little bit of joy in most of the times. Now, you're going to have days where it's really hard. I have days where it's hard and I don't want to go run. That's where you just got to lean on discipline. This is what I do. Mental toughness, whatever you want to call it. Get out and get the miles in anyway. But I just feel like people get so extrinsically motivated, and then sometimes that hurts them during the race, or they blow up, or it doesn't go the way that they want it to go, just because they didn't put in the training. They weren't motivated for the couple months out because all they really cared about was getting that medal at the finish line. And again, that's awesome. But to me, what I found is what happens on race day, more often than not, is a direct correlation to your training. It's all going to come down to your training. So that should just be your main goal. And that's where that intrinsic motivation is going to come in. And could easily just look like a couple of days a week, getting easy miles in. So what's more important in running ultras versus marathons, because marathons you're a little bit more time and pace cognizant, especially if you're starting to progress. So maybe speed work is a little bit more weighted as important to that versus ultras. Ultras, to me, what I see, if your goal is just to finish a 50K, I think your main focus should just be time on feet. So I wouldn't worry too much about doing what's called speed work. So how I like to put a training plan together is like, I think that there's 3 different days essentially, just to keep this like really simple. Your easy run days, which is literally just like putting on your running shoes, going out, keeping things at a very slow pace, just getting time on feet. That's your easy runs. Second kind of day is speed work. That's where you're doing a little bit of fluctuating that heart rate, picking up the pace, slowing back down, picking up the pace, slowing back down. Can implement those if you'd like once a week. And again, this might be, you can Google this. There's a million different kind of speed workout ideas you can do. But say it's like, okay, we're going to go out, we're going to run a half mile light jog to warm up, and then we're going to do a half mile running pretty hard. And then we're going to slow down almost to a walk for a quarter mile. And then we're going to go back and run hard for a half mile again. So that would be what's called an 800-meter repeat. So you might do that 3-4 times and then cool down for a light half-mile jog. So that's increasing your heart rate. That's going to help with your speed. And it's going to help build endurance in general. But like I said, I think for these ultras, if you're starting out, my advice would be just get that time on feet. So and then the third kind of day is your long run day. So what I tell people too is like try to treat this like a race. Wake up, try to get a good night's sleep, eat good the night before, eat good when you wake up, clean carbohydrates. I like to do a little bowl of fruit, honey, stuff like that. Easy to digest, quick, clean carbs, and get up and get the miles in. So these are the kind of days where they're going to be a little bit longer than your easy runs. And a lot of people like to ask, how many miles in a week should I run? How long is the longest long run? This is all going to vary on the person and the goals you have and things like that. If you want to reach out, get more information, I can help you put a plan together. I'll meet you where you're at with whatever, again, your goals are and your skill set right now. But in general, I would say for a 50K, you kind of hear this sometimes too, whatever your race distance is, you want to at least work up to weekly miles of that far. So running like 30 miles a week, probably not a bad idea. Again, it's going to depend on some things, but maybe 30 to 40 miles, working up to something like that. And again, might be tough starting out, but you just start small. You're not going to start there week 1. I would say just focus on getting time on feet 3-4 days a week, and then implementing that long run. Slowly build that every single week. So have that go a little bit further. Maybe you start out, it's only like 6 miles, and you want to run a 50K, and that's 6 miles is hard for you. That's where you start. I believe if you can do that, though, you can run a 50K, if that's where your starting point is. In a few months, just going to keep building, keep pushing that long run a little further. If you have to slow down to a walk, who cares? Just try to get the miles in and get the time on feet. That's what I believe. It's all about time on feet and just getting it done, because you're also building your confidence. So that's why it's so important to just, in a lot of these workouts, a lot of these runs, whatever that mileage is you want to hit, just if you have to slow down, if you have to go to a walk, you're doing so much more for yourself by checking that box, getting that workout done, getting those miles in mentally too than physically. Because what you don't want to do is kind of weaken your mindset a little bit. If you keep cutting corners in your training, guess what might happen during the race? You might start looking to cut corners. So I think a lot of these workouts, getting these miles in, for me, builds a lot of the mental. And that's what you want to have sharp during the race. As far as the longest long run goes, honestly, I've had people ask me this, and I give them this answer, and this is kind of like how I like to structure even my training plans. So if you have this race in front of you, again, depends on what your goals are or whatever, but we'll just keep going with this 50K example, and you just want to finish. I like to ask the person, Okay, obviously this is going to be a hard distance for you. This is something that's really challenging. What would you want to do during your training block to give you the most confidence during that race? Like if I can do this a couple weeks out from the race, well, that race is going to be cake. It might not be run that exact distance, but if you can run, if you can put together like a 20-mile long run without stopping on your typical trail you do, or down the streets, or back and forth on your local county roads, whatever, and you've never done that before, and you're like, if I can work to that, and think too, during a training block on tired legs and you're out there just you, obviously you're not feeding off the adrenaline for the race, that might be what you work to. That's your longest long run. And it's like, that's what you're building to and working to during your whole training block. And that's going to make you feel like, man, if I can do that just by myself on a random Sunday morning, I feel like that's going to get me far in the race. And then obviously in the race, you got the adrenaline. Your legs are going to be a little bit more recovered, ready to go. And maybe your thought is like, well, I'll walk the last 10 or crawl or whatever. Then that's where you're at. And that's what I'd say should be your longest long run. At least that. If that's giving you confidence. Sometimes I like to say, like, okay, if 20 miles is what's going to give you confidence, we're going to work to 22, just to push it a little bit more. And then you're going to feel like, man, I'm going to do this. I'm going to freaking do this. And that's what's really fun in say you give yourself 2 months before your 50K that you're looking to maybe do this summer. If you can pick that to work to it, it's really exciting when you get to that point and then you finish that longest long run or that biggest week of miles you've ever done. And you're just like, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do this. Like, I can't believe it. I can't believe I just did that. So I don't know. That's more to why I just love these races and these things, because you're not just building endurance. You're building your confidence. You're growing. It's just awesome stuff. So, hey, everybody, real quick, if you're listening to this episode on Spotify, please go ahead to the top of the page and leave a star rating. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a star rating and a review if you'd like. If you really like this episode, please share it with a friend. Throw it up on your Instagram story. Share it that way. Any sort of share or review really helps grow the show. Really appreciate it. All right, we'll get back to it. That's kind of like a very high level of a training plan and recommendations I'd give for training for your first. Again, we're using this 50K example, but I'd say if you're looking for further distances, things are very different. Running a half marathon is completely different than a marathon. Running a marathon is completely different than a 50K, especially because, too, like, say your marathon's on a flat road through a city. A 50K might be, even 50Ks, they're all different. Like, when I talk to people about their ultra, like, I want to know how much climbing was there. Like, what were the elements like? Like, was it super hot? Like, they're all different. The climbing is a whole different factor. Like, I don't even care about people's paces. I'm like, well, how much vert was there? Like, how much whatever. So they're not all built the same. 100K, completely different than a 50K. Training different, fueling different. And then a 100-miler, I wish I could sit here and say I got one under my belt, but I treated that whole block like completely different. So there's levels to all of that, and they're all different. Obviously, the main things are going to be the same, like time on feet, things like that, but they're all different. Pick whatever excites you. That's my other note I have here, too. So a big thing in these ultras, too, you're going to get to a point where you're going to want to quit. They're so hard, especially maybe the first one you ever do, and you don't even know what you're getting into. I think what saves a lot of people, too, is just having gratitude for where you are and being like, man, wasn't this cool that we're here? So pick a place that excites you. I mean, it's kind of fun if you can to travel for a race. Like, for no reason at all, was that 2 years ago? I drove to North Carolina by myself because I was like, this race looks awesome. So it was outside of Asheville in the Appalachian Mountains down there, and I just went and did it because it looked so awesome. I remember doing this big climb, getting up on this mountain, and like, what's the elevation down there? Like over 6,000 feet. Getting my butt kicked at like mile 29 or something. And I was able to take a second and be like, well, this is pretty awesome here though. So then that just helps you keep putting one foot in front of the other. So that can definitely help. Pick a race that excites you. If you want to travel for it, all the better. Especially it's fun too, like being in some little mountain town somewhere. I don't know. That's some other advice too. You don't have to do that. But that definitely helps. Just going somewhere cool that gets you excited. Same thing with the distance. If you want to go further than a 50K on your first time, I'm not going to tell you can't do it or anything like that. But just try to understand whatever you do pick, there is a cost. Just make sure you always understand the cost and the training, what that's going to look like, what your day-to-day is going to look like. Like you might start having to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to do your runs. No, no way to get around it. So just understand the cost of whatever you want to do, and then screw it. Go for it. These things are awesome. That's my advice there. And then just other little things as far as like calories and salt and stretching and recovery. These are all part of it. So just talking a little bit about the calories things. Again, I think if you're like hiking your first 50K, you know, you can get away with a lot as far as just eating real foods. But like I said, the gels and the high carb mixes, that's why these things are really popular, especially for some of the people that you see are like throwing down at the front of the pack. Running so hard, it's hard for your body to digest like real food. So maybe you're doing your long runs and you find that like your stomach just hurts really bad. So that's what takes you out. It's not like the upset stomach is necessarily giving you the hard time. It's having the upset stomach, and then 30 minutes later, a few more miles, you're not taking in any more calories. A couple more miles after that, you want to go home and cry because you're just so depleted. So that's kind of where it can trip you up and get you. So I think no matter what, experiment with some gels, experiment with some high carb mixes. And Tailwind, I keep referencing, that's what I like to use. Don't worry about the fact that like, well, this is just straight carbs and like added sugar. It's literally what your body needs at the time. I'm not drinking those like throughout the day, like just in my office or something, but that they're made for those races. That's exactly what your body needs at the time. So carbohydrates are energy now sources. That's how I like to look at them. You're fueling the muscles to use that for now. So that's what's going to fuel you during your runs. And to me, eating a significant dose of carbohydrates just on a day-to-day basis during your training makes me feel better. Most people, that is their main source of fuel for training. Makes them feel better on their runs. Makes you feel like you have a little bit more pep in your step. And that's always my recommendation. Just try to be conscious of eating good, clean carbohydrates day to day if you're in a good training block for a race. Salt too. So salt's something you want to stay cognizant of, especially on your long runs during your training, and really much so obviously during the race. So Tailwind has about 300 milligrams of carbohydrates per scoop, and each scoop is about 100 calories, 25 grams of carbs. So you want to make sure you're just taking in salt, which is your electrolytes. So there's other electrolyte mixes you can use. I was just saying that about Tailwind because it has salt in there already. But always making sure you can look at these races by the hour. So there's always going to be stuff online about how much should you consume per hour. Always depends person to person. I think in general, you can't go wrong with just try to make sure you're cognizant of a couple hundred calories per hour. That could be 2 gels and a bottle of Tailwind. That could be a handful of potatoes and M&Ms and a gel at an aid station. Trying to be like, okay, what did I have in this last hour? At least be a few hundred calories, and keeping carbohydrates the main focus. Also making sure, did I sip on my electrolyte mix? Did I sip on, you can also buy salt tablets, buy these little pills, I keep them in my belt. There's ones that like dissolve, but then there's other ones that are like capsules that are actually, they look like pills. I have these ones because they have a little bit of caffeine in them too. So I like to take that, and sometimes I fall behind on my salt. So it's like, if I want a little bit of caffeine, I'm just getting that little bit extra salt. It's going to help with cramping, going to help you keep moving. So that's the biggest thing. Calories, carbohydrates, salt, and then just keep drinking fluids. So experiment with that on long runs. That's kind of the best advice I can have there. But those things are kind of non-negotiables. If you're not taking those in during your race, you're probably going to break down. So that's just the last thing I'll say there. And then like recovery, stretching. The biggest recovering method by far and away is sleep. So sleep is king. Just try to get a good night's sleep. Best thing you can do, get off screens at least like an hour or so before you go to bed. Keep your phone in a different room on charge so you're not waking up in the middle of the night scrolling on it. That's like the worst thing you can do. Good quality sleep throughout your training, especially the few days out before the race. Sleep is king. It's always going to make you feel better because the whole goal sometimes too is like, it's one thing to get up and just keep getting the miles in, but you want to make sure you're not taking quality out of those runs either. So always try your best to sleep good, recover. I like to stretch a little bit every day. Some people are like, does it do a whole lot? I don't know. Just makes me feel good. I just stretch for like 10 minutes every morning. I just feel like it's like loosened me up too. It's helped like with my running strides and my gait. But I think the biggest thing there is it's sleep. The sauna, the cold plunge. I mean, yeah, I mentioned earlier I was doing that yesterday, but I don't think there's a lot of things, I guess, out there that are written saying it does help. There's a lot of things out there that are published that are like it's hit or miss or it's placebo. I just like the sauna. I just feel like mentally it makes me feel good. So I get in there a little bit and just kind of makes sense to me if it's like, okay, this is something that's helping like my blood flow, getting my heart rate up. Well, I just feel like that blood's going all of my muscles and it's just helping them, repair all that tissue and I'm not sore as much. To me, in my head, that just makes sense. So I just like going in there a few days a week after I lift at my local gym, sit in the sauna for like 20 minutes. And even if it's all placebo, I don't really care. So that's what I do. But again, number one thing by far and away is sleep. So we talked about biggest things during a training plan, how to attack maybe your first 50K. That was like the example there. But again, it's kind of all about what you want, your goals, and whatever you want that race day to look like. It's totally up to you. But that was kind of the example I gave. Fueling we talked about, recovery. And again, I'm keeping things at like a high level. If you want to get more specific, totally feel free to reach out to me in my DMs. If you go to runtherack.outdoors.com, there's a contact me page there. You can fill that out. If you want to write like a longer email, definitely respond back there too. Honestly, I give my phone number out a lot too. I just love helping people. So I'll text you. We'll get on the phone. Whatever you want to do, I'll help meet people where they're at if this is something you want to do. So other things that I wanted to write down before I wrap up is why I really enjoy doing these long endurance events and how they've helped me in other ways. Obviously, the biggest thing here in this, again, I will always say, at the end of the day, it's a hunting-based platform here, but we're all about just trying to be our best selves, talk about fitness, talk about personal growth, all these things. So tying all that in, number one, yes, I think these really do help me in the mountains. I just feel like this is just me talking. I love seeing people in the gym throwing weights around, all that stuff. I do that stuff all the time too. I will never give up strength training to look like a 100-pound skinny ultra runner. That's not what I'm after. I want to be the best I am in the mountains. But I don't know, if you're just like throwing some dumbbells around a couple days a week, a few months out of the year, and think you're going to run around up in the mountains for 2 weeks on your elk tag, especially if you're coming from out of state, like a state that doesn't have mountains or altitude, I think you're going to have a hard time. Even if that is like your big motivator to go to the gym. And again, that's so great. It's helping you live a healthy lifestyle. I just think building your endurance, running is just one of the best ways. It's a great tool in the toolkit to help you get ready for the mountains. I look at these backcountry hunts. I don't like to hunt from the truck. I don't like to drive around when I have an elk tag in my pocket. I like to pretty much mostly backpack, get deep in the mountains, run around the entire time, put in big miles on my feet. Usually the days call for that. I mean, if I'm sleeping right on an elk herd and I'm just playing in this one basin, I'm not going to purposely go out of my way to say that I hiked 20 miles that day. But if I need to, I will. And I know that I'm capable because I have evidence that I have a ton of time on my feet every week, every day throughout the year. I have ultramarathons under my belt. I run these things competitively now. I feel like a confident mountain athlete when I have an elk tag in my pocket. And that's just what gives me confidence. People can do what they want, but that's another driver of this platform for me. I just want to share what's helped me in the mountains and become more successful. I'm not anywhere where I want to be yet, but this is all part of the journey. And this is more so me just documenting it all because I do believe in myself that, I'm going to be one of these guys that's got an absurd amount of bulls and huge bucks on the wall and stuff because I feel like I'm putting myself in the best shape physically in the mountains. I want to be a mountain athlete. I look at these people here too. You watch YouTube videos of these people that are mountaineers, that are these through hiker backpackers that, hike the whole PCT in like a month or something. I don't even know what they do, but like crazy athletes, the people that do these triathlons and these like Ultramans and all this stuff, like athletes, like mountain athletes. And that's what I want to be in the mountains, backcountry hunting. I take it that seriously. And I don't get, and people can do whatever they want with their tag. Like, I don't care. But that's just what that excites me. It gives me so much confidence. And isn't that like, I don't know. I just think it's the coolest thing ever. So why not? Like, why not be like, okay, like I said, I still strength train. I love doing it. Strength training my legs, be in the best mountain shape that way as well. On a pack out, definitely. Like I said, my goal is to not be a 100-pound ultra runner. I'd hate to pack an elk out looking like one of those guys. But to be one of these people that can just eat miles in the mountains, like, oh, dude, that just excites me so much. And then I've kind of over the years just also developed a passion and a love for just the trail running community and all that too, which is just a bonus. That's awesome. But I just see, even like I said, the people that I've been meeting here are so cool, and everybody's got like a thing. Like I said, like mountaineering or mountain biking or whatever. Everybody runs that I talk to, and they take like their craft, whatever it is, like really seriously. And they're all like good runners, even if they're not doing ultras, but like that's part of like their kit to get better at their craft. Like that's what they do. So to me, I think, once again, you have to run ultras, but this is just an awesome way to make yourself a better mountain athlete, in my opinion. Also, too, I really think this gives me the mental confidence. Like I said, if I need to bomb 5 miles straight uphill into the next basin on a dime to get on another elk herd, or need to pack way out, I'm already like packed in deep, but I got half a day. I don't want to waste any time. I want to pack out 6 miles, bomb down to the truck, drive to a different trailhead, pack in another 6 miles. I'm like, okay, that's like 12 miles. Like, how fast can I do that? Okay, we're climbing down 3,000 feet, and then we got to move and go up another 4,000 feet. Well, I can look back and be like, well, I've done this on my legs before, all in a given day. I just did it. I just did a race, 31 miles, over 6,000 feet of climbing in 4.5 hours. And I know it's not the same thing. I don't have all my gear and like all that stuff, but like that's just at least going to give me like okay, let's go. Like I can do that. Like, let's go. And then, yeah, after like an hour of like packing out, I'm just like, oh man, like, this is tough, but it doesn't matter. Like, I know it's all the same thing. It's all about putting one foot in front of the other. And it just gives me that confidence. And then again, like I talked about earlier, that stress management. So I just had this race, and I've done this in other races too, where it's like you get most of the way through the race and like maybe you're killing it, but you just hit this low point and you're just like, oh, man, this is hard. Like, I'm struggling. Like, my quads are on fire. Am I even on the right trail? Like, what the hell am I doing out here? What's that sound like? That sounds like an elk hunt. That sounds like my mule deer hunt this year, like up in the high country. Like, it's all the same stuff, but these races have taught me the same thing. The same thing these mountains have taught me chasing these big critters. It's like those lows are just part of it, always, every time. And a lot of the killers that I talk to, they don't give in to when things get hard. They never get too low, and they never get too high. It's exactly how you get through a big ultra. So it's awesome. I see so much correlation in these. And if you want to go for it, go for it. If you're not interested in it, don't. If you have zero interest in running, like at all, yeah, don't do it, because it's probably going to be miserable. But if you have this like little thing deep down where it's like, man, how sweet would it be like one time in my life to do like a 50K? Maybe that's just where you start too, and then you learn that like, oh, I kind of like this, or like, oh, what else is possible? That's kind of what happened to me. I drank the Kool-Aid, and now here we are going for a 100-miler, doing all the big marathons and ultras and whatever. But anyway, that's where you start though. And again, just my opinion, I think it's a great way to train and get in shape for the mountains. I feel like an athlete, makes me feel confident, helps me manage stress, and just helps me learn how to endure long processes. Keep a level head, become more stoic, which is all about just like controlling what you can control. It's all these things that we all know about, but how many times have we let our emotions get the best of ourselves, make decisions, pack out off the mountain when we probably shouldn't have, or just make half-assed decisions even at work, like turn something in that's half-assed, or like not fully finish something, or just lose our cool all the time. I don't know. If you can put a big challenge in yourself, if you can put a big challenge in front of yourself to just help learn how to deal with stress management, and it's like in a controlled environment too, because at the end of the day, like you could quit one of these races and like you're not going to die. At least you're probably not going to die. But like, no, you'll be fine. But that's still controlled chaos. That was the word I was thinking of. Control chaos. Put yourself in those situations. Intentionally put yourself in hard situations so you can problem solve and overcome. So that way when you have kind of these uncontrollable hard times come up, dude, you got it. You give yourself the evidence that like, I can get through this. I can endure. I can solve hard problems. And I can do hard things. Because I tell you what, these Western hunts are hard. So Dan Staten talked about it on an episode. If you guys want to go a couple episodes back, I just had Elk Shape on. I gave him a question that I was curious how he was going to answer it. You can kind of hear me say like, all right, man, this is totally a loaded question that I'm sure you get all the time, but you see all the running and like, people doing the ultras and stuff, and I don't really know how much he knew about me, how much like I run or whatever. But I said, see people running ultras, doing like mountain tough specific workouts, doing CrossFit, doing other kind of like powerlifting training. Like, what would you say, really loaded question, the best way to train? And he even said, like, I think this was the best answer I heard somebody give. He was like, at the end of the day, all these things are great, but the hunt, you don't want the hunt to be, you want the hunt to be easy. He's like, honestly, I have a lot of days out there where I'm chasing elk, and elk hunting's a little bit of a recovery for me. And I was like, oh yeah? And he was like, yeah, because, a lot of times, like, maybe you're camped right there on the elk and you're getting to bed, when it gets dark, and, those nights can be long, and if you're waking right up to hunt right there again in the morning, like, you're getting a good night's sleep. And some days, you're just naturally not putting a ton of miles on, and if you are putting some more miles on and that's what you do, it's not too bad for you. So just finding ways to train really hard and do hard things throughout the rest of the year to where the elk hunt really isn't, I mean, they're always going to be tough, but where it's not like the hardest thing you've ever done, that's how you want to train. That's the best way to prepare. And I was like, Dan, I think that was like the best answer I've ever heard. And then I've totally heard Cam Hanes say on like a Rogan podcast or something too, like, train hard, hunt easy. Yeah, I get it. Like, I think Dan like really helped hit that home for me. So do yourself a favor, train hard, do the hard things, give yourself evidence that you can do hard things. So when you go on your hard elk hunt this year, or your hard high country mule deer hunt, your hard whatever, it's not as hard as it needs to be. I guess that's a good way to circle that square. So I think that's kind of where I'll leave it. Like, I'm pushing an hour. I hope this really helped people. I hope maybe it gave some people a little bit of motivation to sign up for that first 50K. Like, come on, like, you can do it. Like, they're so awesome. You're going to do great. You're going to do fine. It's all going to come down to your training, though. You got to do the training. You can't cheat it. You can't cheat the mountain. Or can't cheat the mountains. It's the Jeremiah Johnson. Can't cheat the mountains, Pilgrim. No, you can't cheat the miles is what I meant to say. You can't cheat it. You got to train. You got to do it. I will gladly help anybody that reaches out if you want to do it. And it's only going to make ourselves not just better for the mountains, but I think it's made me personally just a better human being. That's just a fact. So, and it's helped me become more disciplined in all aspects of my life. I'm not perfect, but I take what I've learned from the discipline of getting better at running, keep showing up, keeping the promises I made to myself, apply that to other things in my life, adopt more of a growth mindset. Again, I think it's just great. It's just helped me become a better person. So if that's what you want to do, go for it. I'll gladly help. Feel free to reach out anytime, and I'll leave it there. But okay, that's it from my end. I just want to say too, before I totally end the show, Wilson Creek, 50K, done, completed, podium finish. I got that note screenshot saved on my phone in my 2026 fitness goals. That was top of the list. Crossed off. Feels so dang good to do the things that do the things you say you're going to do. It's awesome. It's the best. So set big goals, put in the work, do them. So cross that off. That's the first one off. Next big goal on there. I'm running the Boston Marathon. I qualified. I'm going. I got my hotel. I got my flights. I'm going to be posting a ton of that content, and I'll be putting out some YouTube videos of the training, and not just that, but like the day of the race too. Boston has been an absolute dream of mine. I made it there from qualifying, just putting in the work, showing up every single day, just the last few years. Like, I'm nothing special. I'm a regular guy with a regular job. Did it. So going to Boston, be sharing a ton of that. That's what's coming up next. And I want to get under 2:40. So 2 hours, 40 minutes. I think that's like a 6-minute, 9-second pace. I should probably look into this now. But starts now, about 3 months out from that. And it's going to go crazy. Crazy with the weekly mileages, crazy with the speed work. Again, I'll be sharing more of that. Hopefully people can take from that and become a better runner, better mountain athlete themselves. So that's next. That's at the end of April. Then I also signed up for Eugene. So the Eugene Marathon is literally 6 days after Boston. And I had friends that were going, and I'm like, well, I want to go. And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll just jog it. And I was like, well, that's not fun. So I want to run that hard too. So the goal, the next 2 goals on that 2026 list, break 2:40 at Boston, which would be my personal best. And then I want to beat the Boston time at Eugene. So say I get 2:39 at Boston, I want to get 2:38 at Eugene. That's going to be so hard. I don't know how I'm going to recover during that week, but we're going to figure it out. I set big goals because big goals require big action. It's only going to make me train harder, and that's where I know the magic lies. So that's why I set the goals, and that's what I'm going to do. So Boston coming up, end of April. That's what we'll be training for. Eugene right after, and then what? That's the end of April. It takes me into May. And then, maybe during that taper at the end of April, I'll start running bear baits. So bear hunting all through May. I'll probably take a buddy out, coming out to spot and stalk in the mountains. But me personally, I'm probably going to hunt. I like hunting bears over bait. I was doing it back east. I've done it. I did bear hunt up in Quebec a couple years ago. Killed a bear up there over bait. Killed a bear. That was in New Jersey. Last year, whatever you want to call 2024. Killed a bear. Baited for bears there. Killed a bear there. And I want to do that here in Idaho because you can bait bears here, and I think it's really fun. So maybe I'll start baiting during my taper, meaning that's kind of when you focus on recovery a little bit more before a race. Maybe those like 2 weekends out before Boston, I'll start running baits. We'll see what the weather's like. But I'll be hunting bears over bait in May. So that's what's coming up. Boston, April 20th. Eugene, April 26th, I believe. And then running bear baits and bear hunting in May. So that's what I got coming up personally. And continue to share everything. It's been really awesome. I appreciate the support. The podcast is growing. Even like my Instagram pages and stuff like that, it's all growing. So really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And yeah, that's it this week. So I'm going to wrap this one up, get it scheduled for tomorrow morning. Let's have a great rest of the week. Let's leave no doubt. Let's work as hard as we can, and let's run the rack. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We will catch you on the next one. See ya. Hey, if you liked that episode, please share it with a friend, share it on your story, and give the podcast a rating and a review on wherever you listen. For more of this type of content, you can head over to the YouTube channel and follow along on all the social platforms. Really appreciate it. See you on the mountain.